This is Balance of Power on Bloomberg Television and Radio. I'm David Weston. There's an awful lot going up on Capitol Hill right now. We have an omnibus spending bill they need to get passed by Friday, even as Congress pressed for that ban on Russian oil imports that now the president, by executive order, has ordered on his own. Welcome now, Sherry Bustos. She is Democratic Congresswoman from Illinois. She's co-chair of the House Democratic Steering Committee. So, Congresswoman, thank you so much for your time. First of all, on this omnibus up on Friday, what's the timing from your point of view right now? What do you think will happen?
Well, what's called the four corners, meaning the head of appropriations on the House side, including the chairman and the ranking member, and then the same on the Senate side, they have been meeting for many, many weeks now, and we have been given regular updates. And it's been a little bit of a roller coaster, but I think that we're going to get this done. And what is bringing Democrats and Republicans together, and Senate and House members together, is what's happening in Ukraine. We've got about $12 billion that we've added to this package, and obviously there's a real sense of urgency around this. So we are scheduled to have our Democratic caucus leadership meetings Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of this week. We've been told that we may have to come back from that on Friday, or we may get this done on Wednesday. So look, the deadline is looming. We have, at the worst, it's got to be March 11th. That's when our continuing resolution expires. So we've got to get the job done, and I think what is happening in Ukraine will bring us together and will lead us to be able to pass this.
There's also a COVID piece, as I understand it. Originally, I heard it was $22.5 billion. I see some reports now it may have been whittled down to $15 billion. Where does that stand?
Well, I can't tell you what that final number is going to be. Again, our leadership in the House and the Senate, Democrats and Republicans, are still in negotiation as we speak. So I can't tell you what that final number will be. But obviously, we are still in a situation where we have COVID numbers. We've got to make sure that we have money for testing, for treatment, and that we can finally put this in the rearview mirror and move on with life. Is
$15 billion enough to get that done, do you think?
You know, I don't know what that final number will end up being, but look, we've applied a lot of taxpayer dollars to this to help us get past this. We are in a stronger position now than obviously we've ever been since the start of this pandemic, and we just need to make sure that we can move past this and get our economy in a good place again.
Let's come back to that oil ban on Russian crude that you referred to earlier. President Biden announced earlier today. Given the fact that the president has issued that executive order, does that sort of make the question of congressional action on this moot? Is there any need for congressional action?
There is need for congressional action, and actually you'll be able to report later today that we are going to be voting on this ban on energy, gas, natural gas, oil, and that basically codifies this into law, that it's not just the President of the United States saying we need to ban our purchase of oil and gas and energy products, but it will show our congressional support. On top of that, we have two other components. One takes a look at the humanitarian crisis and allows us to impose further sanctions based on the humanitarian violations that Russia is imposing on Ukraine. And then also we've got an element in there on the World Trade Organization to make sure that we further trade with Russia is examined by the WTO.
So this is being felt by a lot of Americans across the country. They were really suffering from inflation, as you know so well, before this all happened. Now we're looking at gas prices really going up to remarkable levels, record levels, I should say. Is this going to hurt the Democrats in November as a practical matter?
Well, you know, there's always a political element when you look at inflation, and there's nothing that is more in your face than gas prices. We all drive by the gas stations if you're out and about every day. I mean, you can't drive too many corners away without seeing the price of a gallon of gas that goes into our cars. Now, let me share something that I haven't seen a whole lot of press about, but so I'll share this with you. But look, I live in Illinois, and my bordering state is Iowa. We produce more corn and soybeans than any other states in America. And we have something called ethanol. And when you look at, when you go to the gas station and when you see that E15, that means that 15% of that gallon of gas is infused with biofuels, with ethanol that comes from corn. And that actually brings down the price of every gallon right now by 80 cents. So you're going to hear the oil industry say that, oh, it costs money to blend ethanol, it saves the consumer money. So I'm going to push along with my colleagues on a bipartisan level to say that we need to continue the blending of ethanol with gasoline. That is a way that we can actually keep prices down, as opposed to if we all of a sudden remove that and the oil industry has its day and says, no, we don't want to blend that anymore, you're going to see overnight these prices go even higher than they would otherwise. So look, there is going to be a cost to Americans because of this terrible, terrible war that Putin, who is the enemy here, but that Putin has waged on Ukraine. And it's going to cost us more in our pocketbook. But we also have to remember, why are we involved in this? And it's all about democracy. Putin wants to do everything he can to destroy democracy. Ukraine is doing everything it can to preserve democracy. I think Zelensky has been a real hero. I was on that call with him, with members of Congress on over the weekend, and I was thinking, he wears that T-shirt, and I'm thinking, he's like Winston Churchill in a T-shirt. He's just really become a hero of all of this, and he's so strong and is so resolute in that Ukraine will not be taken over by Russia, and we've got to do everything we can to help Zelensky in this fight.
Well, and as you say, and we all agree with, the most important thing is what's going on in Ukraine and what's being done to the Ukrainian people right now. But there's always some political consequence of this. Is it too early to say how this may cut in the midterm elections, that is to say the Ukraine crisis?
Well, what are we, 10 days into this war? Look, I think that politically we have to look at this. What is the right thing to do? And if we let Putin win in this, if we don't do everything we can to stop him, that is a huge strike against democracy. This is a war that we haven't seen anything like this since World War II, and so we've got to stand with our NATO allies. We have to stand with the European Union. I think what President Biden has just been absolutely remarkable at is bringing together our allies and standing in a unified fashion against Putin. Putin is the monster in this. He is the ultimate bad guy in this. He is the ultimate villain. And we just have to stand together with NATO and the European Union and stay strong in our fight to preserve and protect democracy. That is really what this is about. We will pay a price out of our pocketbooks. We're seeing that right now. Right. But this is at the gas station, as we've talked about. But this is because of Putin and what he's doing to men and women, and children in Ukraine, and what he's doing to try to harm democracy. So it takes a tremendous, tremendous hit.
Congressman, really great to have you back with us. Thank you so much for your time. That's Representative Sherry Bustos, Democrat of Illinois.